Hey everybody, it is Wednesday, December 28th. Welcome. I'm Haley Gray. These are my friends, Victoria Bentley and Velma Gallant, and we're getting geared up for 2023. And, you know, thinking about how we're going to leave some shit behind this year and,
You
the
bring the
wisdom
shovel.
to know what to change and, when to know what you can't. Um, and the power of having friends who will show up with a shovel, no questions asked. So it's been one of those weeks. It is that week between Christmas and New Year's where I think everybody kind of loses their minds and loses track of time and everything else. And for me, it's a heads down, kind of crazy, work my tail off week. So um,
Yeah, it's a busy time. It is.
it is a very busy time.
But it's nice. It's you've
Yeah.
got a little bit of forethought of you've got a whole year coming and
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do and what's going to be special, what's going to be different and
Yeah.
what track are you going to take that's different from 2022?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
promise.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's
totally.
because you can make it so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I have definitely a lot of changes that we've been making in my business, some of them in my personal life too, but really, putting things on a track to change and simplify and getting rid of stuff. And it's been kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
love
what change
listening.
do you want to see for 2023 in your life?
You know, and so somebody says, funny thing, the university is entirely shut down this week. Yeah, it's interesting. For some people, their entire
The
job,
universe or the
business,
university?
the university, if you're working in a university system, is totally shut down. And so for me, what I'm really working on is simplifying and streamlining processes and actually speeding up throughput in my business
Sounds like
because
ISO 9001.
yeah, operations and
Yeah,
processes and
yeah.
efficiency and all the things are happening here. I've been heads down creating literally hundreds of social media graphics. And hey, Liz, Indiana Wesleyan University and Purdue University. Yep, exactly. And so for me, one of the things we're doing is building templates and repositories of um, graphics that we can customize for clients or reuse and have everything in a library at our fingertips. And the whole reporting process, we've overhauled a bunch of stuff and cleaned some stuff up and, you know, cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. And boy, there's a lot of decluttering going on.
Feels good though,
Mm-hmm.
because it feels
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what can I control? Well, I can control the
Oh,
wings
yeah.
spread around me and what have I created here and what do I need to do and where do I need to clean up my own act to make my environment better?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
yeah.
it seems to be this time of year you think about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do for my business, but I do in life too. I've been on a massive, I don't know about y'all, but I started watching a bunch of organizing videos last year, and there was an idea that kind of hit me. And as I turned 50 this year, I was like, this is a really good idea. And it's that concept of Swedish death cleaning. It's not that idea that, I'm going to die off anytime soon. But it's that idea of getting rid of things that don't serve me, that I'm not using, that I have piles and piles of stuff. Marie Kondo, yeah, kind of like a Marie Kondo, but not exactly because I'm not pulling everything out of a closet at once necessarily. Like more like
And you're
doing
not
it
annoying like she is.
on a drawer by drawer basis, kind of a thing. So maybe not quite at that scale because it's been going on for a while.
Yeah, but she
Um,
goes into her sister-in-law's house and goes, "Oh yeah, she wasn't home. I threw away all of her collections." It's like, "What? Oh, she won't care." I mean, Marie Kondo is just out to lunch.
yeah, no. So not doing that. But like I
Yeah.
had 3 drawers of extension cords in my office. So now we're down to one. And we've tested everything and made sure everything is working. So that kind of stuff, and simplifying and cleaning stuff up and organizing it so that, I can actually get to things. And
Right. To make your life more manageable, not for cleaning's sake, but to make your life more manageable.
absolutely.
That was my goal when I retired. I was going to take on the house. And I'm not finished yet, but I've done a lot, and doing it one drawer at a time, one closet at a time. Instead of, I'm going to do the house. Well, that gets really overwhelming, and you sit down and say, what was I thinking? But when you say, well, I've got this closet, let me start there. And you can see your accomplishment by noontime. And by 5 o'clock, wow, I've got all this done. Okay, there's something telling me about rebooting my computer. No, we cannot reboot me now. Okay.
Now would not be a good time, computer.
What is
Yeah,
up
no,
with
I
that?
get it.
Every time I'm on here, it asks me if I want to reboot. And it's like, well, I did that like a half hour ago. No, I don't want to do that. Anyway, but for people who have, I'll call them thinking jobs, as opposed to, if you go to fix
Physical
a car,
jobs.
the car starts at the end of the day. A lot of the jobs that I did, I couldn't see results for a long time. And it's very satisfying now to do these projects where I meet goals at 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
And then I move on to the next thing and say, well, that could use a little bit of attention. And I put up those rolly cart shelves in my basement, those multiple tiered shelves. And I found that those were wonderful for walking up and down the aisles in the room and saying, okay, this is the place that has this. And I don't need to have it up here anymore if I know where all this stuff is. I always thought I had to have my stuff nearby, and I don't. I just need to have today's amount nearby, and that cuts down on your clutter. So if you have a basement, start by organizing that, which is what I did.
Does it get easier to purge when the kids move out? Yes and no. I mean, my kids are in high school and college, so they're not like out, but we've definitely been doing some purging around their stuff, not necessarily of their stuff, but in terms of like things in the house, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and you can put their stuff in containers and say, okay, when you have your own apartment, here, pick this up. It has your name on it.
Well, and my kids still have bedrooms here, but because they come back.
I had about 4 bins of stuff, memories and that kind of thing that I was hanging on to for my son. And I kept moving with me, knowing that he's not fully settled yet. But I actually sat him down over 2 days, and the two of us went through all of these memories together. And I had him choose, because I said, ultimately at the end of these days, the end of the day, these are being retained for you. So what is it that you would hang on to? I made him keep a couple of things.
Everything.
Actually, he was wonderful, because we enjoyed looking at some of the report cards and the pictures we drew, and I remember doing that, but I don't really need to keep it. I remember doing that, but I don't really need to keep it. We took it down to one bin.
Yeah, my kids have one memory bin that we've kept for each of them, and that to me is the easy stuff, I think. To me, the harder stuff is like, how many sets of sheets do I need to keep? Or how many extra blankets do I need to keep? And, well, it's perfectly good. We spent really good money on it, or, whatever. So there's been a lot of the purging of things that are like, they don't really belong to a person. They're just household stuff. And for us, like, I've been working on and off in the laundry room. So like getting rid of 5,000 rags. Who needs 5,000 cleaning rags? Nobody, so definitely one of the things I'm doing this week, because I don't really have any extra time, but my husband gave me a couple of more bath towels over Christmas, and I'm slowly replacing my bath towels. Is getting rid of the ones that were ratty tatty, but I'm also going to hit, 1 or 2 extra little places where we've got piles of extra stuff, and take them to my local animal rescue.
I laugh. I have a bin in my laundry room that I keep rags in, and I put my hand in it, and there was a dead mouse in there. He had just found a nice little comfortable place between the towels, and I reached and I thought, did one of the dogs have their toy down here? And then I pulled it back, and there was a stiff little mouse tail and little glassy eyes that aren't so glassy anymore, and just little just crawled into the old rags and checked out. Went on to the
Expired.
next.
Yeah, no, we don't quite have that level of chaos going on, but we have been finding stuff, and cleaning out from underneath stuff and
I live in the country.
finding.
This is how it is.
We do find, mouse droppings, but I haven't found any like dead mice in the house. But having teenagers, we definitely, have them like sneaking food up to their rooms and then cleaning out the trash and stuff. So like one of the things that's become a deal is and I'll take your crazy expensive set of Calphalon pans that have never been used.
Oh.
But yeah, we are actually getting ready to replace some of our pots and pans because we've burned a couple of them really good in the last few years. It happened, but normally we don't, but we cook a lot. So anyway, we're just trying to declutter stuff down and reduce stuff down just a bit so we have more space. I cleaned out like 5 or 6 more bags of clothes before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving week. That felt really good. I can walk into my closet. I can, find exactly my favorite cleaning rags. I don't have to worry about all of the cleaning rags.
So we were talking about the wisdom to change the things we can.
Yeah. And when to know the difference, right?
Yeah.
And we got on this tangent because some of y'all know this, but I have my oldest child has a traumatic brain injury and a crap ton of psychiatric issues that have gone with it. And it's been a really tough road for her. And, the reality is that the TBI, the traumatic brain injury, and the complications and everything that have gone with that are going to be something that she is going to live with for the rest of her life. It's not something that's just going to magically go away someday. It'll change, it'll morph. Our coping mechanisms will get better. Maybe treatments will get better. But that idea of there like being this magical cure isn't a thing. So for all intents and purposes, I am her caregiver for the rest of my life or the rest of her life. And, it's not something that I really want to do, but it is my duty as mom to do. And, I've accepted that as, that's part of my job in life. And, it's been interesting because I've had a few conversations with people lately because caring for my daughter, dealing with melanoma and cancer and everything gets to be overwhelming at times. And, there's times where I deal with depression and, I'm really basically agnostic about staying alive. I really don't care. Some days I'm like joyful and happy, but then there's times where I'm like, I'm just getting up and putting one foot in front of the other and it just is. And, I think that people feel like they have to step in and intervene. And I'm like, you know what? Caregiver burnout is a thing. I deal with my daughter 10 to 20 hours per week, every week, year in, year out, and a half for the last 7 years. And I get people who make the most nonsensical recommendations to me. And this is the knowing when you can change things, right? For me, learning to lean into it and accept it has been critical because it's not going to go away.
People are uncomfortable with powerlessness. They don't accept it. Oh, there has to be a solution. You just haven't done the right thing yet. And the judgment always comes with it. And you think about part of this type of thinking, the good part of the type of thinking is that you got to play the hand you're dealt. And that might be powerlessness, but there's always, like Velma and I talked about last night in our podcast, there's the way you respond to it, you do have a choice over. And you can't fix the mental illness, but you can fix the way you approach it. And the well-meaning friends and family who have, and I can remember similar conversations where someone said to me, well, have you tried this? And it was something like, are you kidding me? That was like day one, and now we're in the 10th year. Like, do you think we're idiots? And that's very hard to deal with too, that there are well-meaning people who are clueless about one situation and they want good things for you. That's true. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but also they're uncomfortable with unresolved issues. They want everything tidy, and life isn't tidy, and mental illness isn't tidy. Sick children and cancer, none of this is tidy. And you want to just dust your, okay, I solved the problem. Well, if so, life would be very different. And we have to have, or I have to have, I should say, more grace for people like that, because I find the stupidity is unbearable. But not everybody gets it, and not everybody is given the opportunity to have a disabled child either. Not everybody knows what that's like. I don't know what that's like. I can watch someone and I can think, wow, I bet she's tired, or I bet that's frustrating, or I bet that's sad, or I bet it's hard, or yeah, no wonder she has depression, whatever. But I think that as we talk about these things, you say, oh gosh, our friend is going through this. And you'll hear the stupid remarks like, oh, I just feel so sorry for her. Well, that's just what is that going to do? How about bringing dinner to the family? You're not going to fix the mental illness, but you might make 6 o'clock a little better. So show up with dinner, or send a card.
Or ask, what do you need? Rather than assuming and offering advice. And I agree, I agree that people have positive intent. But there's times where you're like, hey, that's not going to work for me. And then they keep coming and coming and coming at me. And I've been on the receiving end of this quite a bit. And it's like, look, no, I understand that you're trying to help, but coming at me over and over again, please give me the grace, to assume that, please, understand that I have considered all available options that are available to me at this time, because I've had some time to think about it. We're at year 7 and counting. I've had a hot minute to research my options. And think about
you dumbass.
Crazy idea. And a lot of people do rather disappear or give bad advice, and sometimes just hold space, or just be there. Is there anything I can do? Not right now. And maybe dinner, maybe not.
Made of. All it takes is somebody in the family with a terminal illness, and 90% of who you thought were friends take a powder. Right? But that's a gift in itself, because you think, well, I'm not going to waste time with them anymore. Life's too short. Life is too short to be surrounded by idiots.
Well, and I think that is one of the most important things, is knowing when you're surrounded by idiots, and, changing those people that you're surrounded with. But, one of the things, I've learned as a friend is to shut my mouth and listen and say, hey, what do you need? Is there anything I can help with? Because sometimes there really isn't a lot you can do.
Sometimes it's just, like you said, sitting there and listening. I just want to be heard. I just want to get this off of my chest. That's it.
Yeah. Let me just, get this out of my system, because, we're on round 926 of this, and it's not going away. Oh, well,
Right.
I'll pray for a cure.
Well, and that's okay.
That's great. Go
Because
for
that
it.
might be all they got. And thank you is a complete sentence. Thank you for that. Because that may be what they can do. And maybe that will make a difference. But maybe what you really need is a casserole, or maybe what you really need is a day trip to the spa.
Or a bottle of gin. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
that's
you go. Velma has a thing for gin, so we'll just say that. You bring the tonic, right? And I think our responsibility is to say what we need, or maybe we're too tired to do that, but then we get what we get.
Mhm.
Play the hand we're dealt. If the church lady says, "I will pray for you," thank you is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Because maybe that is the solution and we just don't know it yet. You just never know. And I'll take
I'll
whatever
take all your
good
prayers.
intent. Right. If your heart's in the right place, God bless you and thank you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. No, totally. And I mean, it's the one of the things though too is, just and this is one of those things where, your friend is grieving, and a lot of times, and you can't fix it. Just learn to be. I think that's one of our hardest things that we can change in ourselves is learning to be and learning to allow our
As opposed
friends
to
be.
do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially as we age, because we can't do like we used to. So being has to be good enough.
Mhm.
And another thing is when you have a mentally ill child, it's not the grieving is ongoing.
Yeah.
There's not an event that's going to make that stop. But for the new wonder drug or the great new therapy, the illness is here. It doesn't get better like chickenpox. So, and that's very hard for people to accept.
Yeah. Well, have you tried such and such a doctor? Well, that would be an out-of-pocket expense. Do you have an extra $100,000 to throw at it? Well, no, I just thought it might help you.
Yeah. And
think first before you open your mouth.
Yeah.
So many people want to be the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Velma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
a way, it's not about them.
It's
about the ill child and her mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and I mean, that to me has been one of my things that I'm looking at in 2023, 2022, what's gone well, what hasn't gone well. Well, what things can I change? How can I react differently to situations or whatever? I decided that this year, since nobody in my family who normally put up Christmas decorations could be bothered, I'm going to hire myself my friend who's a concierge and have her help me do it next year. And there's a couple of really wonderful tree lighting services that will do the outside, and they're going to be doing it. Because honestly, there's another solution. I'm going to do it for myself.
Exactly.
I'm tired of waiting for other people.
Solutions oriented rather than problem oriented. That's
where Haley's wired.
Just how she's wired.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're gonna change the things that we can change. And we can't change other people.
No, and that's what I mean. I shared I was having a discussion with my son, and one of the difficulties he's having is because he's the kind of kid that likes to look for the better way, looks for the the simple solutions, and that they will make sense. That's the way he's wired, and he's a smart kid. And not everybody has his gifts and talents. Not everybody is able to process things the way he processes them. And it irks him to no end, because that just means you're stupid.
You might be right.
Well,
you might be.
Well, and sometimes he really is, right? But you can't fix stupid.
Well, and you
Right.
can't
And you
fix
can't
other
keep
people.
calling them stupid to their face, right?
No.
Yeah, that a lot of
I
21-year-olds
wouldn't
don't
fix
get.
anything either.
I
But
There was
it's
a joke
finding
that
that.
went recently too, because some of y'all don't know this, but some of y'all do. I got married at 19, and we are still married, and we haven't killed each other yet. But
19. Oh my goodness.
19, somebody, I don't remember if it was my husband or one of his friends said, yeah, she saw me have all these faults, and then she decided she was going to marry me and try to fix me. And I looked at him and I'm like, you know what? At
Velma and I
19, I
talked
knew
about
better
that
than to
last
try
night.
to fix you. There is no fixing. There
Right.
is no fixing a person. You cannot fix
They're
a
fully
person.
formed humans.
They get
And
to
it's
make
always-
their own decisions. You
Yeah.
can influence people, but you cannot
Right.
force them or fix them or make them do things for you that
I
they're
want
not
to
going to
find
do.
someone who's the kind of problem I can live
Exactly.
with.
I wish I'd married my husband when we were 19. We will be married on Friday 21 years, and
Congratulations.
I wish it were 41 years.
Mm.
And if we live to be 95, it'll be 50 years. So I don't
There
know
you
if
go.
I'll make it, but that's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, my goal is daily not to kill him. So
I-
far, I have 100% track record of success.
Hey, that's a good thing. I have to remember that line.
Mm-hmm.
I think
You'll have to let your husband know that.
I will. Yeah, that I have a 100% track record of not killing him. Yeah. He's very nice.
He is a darling.
I have occasionally wanted to shake him, but I haven't done that. But it's very, very rarely that I want to. I just like him, and that's good because I really did not like my first husband.
That's unfortunate.
Well, no, I'm rid of him, so it's great. I
Well, I think it's unfortunately that you didn't like him and you married him anyway.
Well,
that's what when we talked about that last night. Vicky brought so much of the wisdom and experience that she had in that to the table for when she was supporting the other divorced women. I talked to my son a lot. It's true. But I was saying, what an interesting conversation it was because Vicky was on both sides of that desk.
Mm-hmm.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Well, and I think that gives you an extra level of compassion, right?
It is amazing
and understanding
to me how through the events of my life, how where I was formerly a much more severe in my judgment, I've gotten better in compassion because I've made some of the mistakes that I had judged, and you have to be compassionate with yourself too. But I realized how we're human, and humans make mistakes, and they, when they're in pain or when they're desperate, or I have a friend that I remind him, he'll be talking about a bad day, and I said, "Are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Are you tired?" And it's HALT, and I say that means you have to stop because you're about to make a mistake or you're about to get into trouble here. So remember that acronym because that affects our judgment. And I look back and I think, oh, some of the things that I had no tolerance for that I ended up doing myself, and the grace of God that has helped me land on my feet instead of being dead or being, in a terrible bind, that today I can be happily married today. And I wish no malice for my first husband. He is remarried now. I'm sure he's happy, and I hope so. Just go live your life. But when it's bad, and you get so caught up in that you can't think straight, and you can't and you don't know. Your first thing is, I'm going to fix you. I'm going to change you. I'm going to get you to see. That was always, I got to get you to see, because if I get you to see, then all of this will stop. And no, it's not. People think differently. People are different. People have a different code. People have a different set of rules. And You know, it's important to marry somebody that has the same code and the same values and the same.
Or at least complementary.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a divorce lawyer, you know, the whole opposites attract, yeah, and then they end up in my office.
No, I'm not saying opposites. I'm saying at least, you know,
and I do understand, because the kinds of things that I
left
can't
hand,
figure out
right
how to
hand kind of
do,
a thing.
he's good at, and vice versa. And yeah, we have complementary skills often. And like the Christmas letter says, I try to cook and he tries to eat it. And, you know, complementary skills. So,
Yeah, my husband's managed to eat some real doozies that I've produced out of the kitchen.
but that's
Without
grace,
complaint,
and
too.
that's aging, and that's
Especially early
on
on in our marriage, he would eat all kinds of things that were really sour. Poor guy.
That's love.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, and he grew up with a mother who, anytime you made a negative comment about something, you never saw it again. My mother did the same thing. So he was very leery of making any comments that could be perceived in any way as negative, because he didn't want to get stuck doing all the cooking, because there was nothing I would cook. Not that I work that way, but no.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah. And the wisdom to change and wisdom to know the difference, right?
Right.
Fortunately, I have not brined any pasta in the last few years, and generally don't think I suck too bad as a cook. They may.
Well, I'm grateful for the two of you, for another year of wonderful podcasting, and for the wisdom of the two of you, and for the kindness of the two of you, and that you're lovely friends, that I can speak to you and know that I will be treated very kindly and graciously by both of you. So I'm grateful for that. And not everybody has that. So I feel very blessed.
Likewise. I'm blessed for y'all, and I'm blessed for everyone here.
Yeah.
You know, I really am. You know, my support network, my friends online, honestly have gotten me through the insanity lately.
I bet.
With the, oh my God, you're not going to believe this shit. And it's been almost a daily thing. So,
and that's okay, because
shout out,
sometimes in our life it's like that, you know, and you'll be
you're
there
not going to
when
believe
your life
this
tones down.
Hey, y'all, watch this. And thank you, Tiff. And you're welcome. And Tiff, I hope to get you out in front of more of the world this next year. We'll talk soon, y'all. Thank you. Blessings.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Blessed 2023.
Let's make it happen.